Good morning. So should I lift heavier weights? Should I lift lighter weights to help with my strength and bone density? I know that a lot out there at the moment around improving bone density, and I want to make sure that I'm doing more strength resistance exercise. Now, one of the interesting parts of this, should I do heavy weights or low weights, is it's all relative, right? So if you're a beginner just starting out, I need to improve my bone density, I want to do some strength work, I haven't done much resistance work before. Resistance work being body weight exercises, dumbbells, barbells, bands, things like that. That over time you should get stronger in. Now, what is a heavier weight? What is a lighter weight? Well, generally we could probably define these as heavier weight, probably something 1 to 10 reps or so, to 12 reps maybe, or maybe we could break that down. 1 to 3 is really, really heavy, 4 to 12 medium. And then above that, more higher rep work after that, where you're going into a bit more endurance work. You're going to be a bit controlled more on the lifts generally, and because you're going to have to do more repetitions. So you're going to have to lift the weight a lot more to get the same impact on the muscle. So what's best? Well, if you're a beginner, I would recommend choosing a weight that you can safely lift, getting the form right for around, at the very least, like 15 reps if you haven't done it before, just so that you can practice the lift. You might go up more than that, and that's fine. 30 reps, 40 reps. If you look at the research, as long as you're taking that muscle when you're ready, that is, and I hate this word, but it's part of life and it's needed, to failure, and where your muscles are like, I cannot do anymore. Sometimes, most of the time, you will maximize results in that. And as you go, I could lift this weight all day, that's probably a good sign that you could lift a little bit more, as long as you're doing it safely, effectively. And I say safely, effectively, obviously when you're pushing yourself a little bit, there's going to be a little bit of room for error in how you lift sometimes in your form. And you might sometimes push off a bit through the legs, etc. And it's about the aim of the session, whether that's okay or not. But we want to keep the tension on the muscle. We want to make sure our form's on point. In general, that's going to be a key part of this. So generally, if you're starting out, like 15 to 30 reps, if not more, fine. You need to practice the lift. You need to get that muscle-mind connection. It's safer. There's less injury risk. Because if you are doing it wrong and you're lifting a really heavy weight, then that's not going to be the best thing to do. And the cool thing is as long as your volume is the same, you can get the same results lifting lighter weights but more reps than you can from heavier weights and lower repetitions in terms of hypertrophy. However, which is like muscle building, that side of things. However, obviously, if you're lifting slightly heavier weights, the benefits are you don't have to necessarily do as many reps. It will maybe have some more benefits in terms of adaptations with the central nervous system. To an extent, your obviously strength and ability to move an object A to B in everyday life. For example, a deadlift where you're picking up a bar from the floor, say, or dumbbells from the floor. If you get very good at doing them, that can transfer over quite nicely to real life, right? Because if you can pick heavy stuff off the floor safely, effectively, and your back is strong, your hamstrings are strong, your glutes, your bum strong, your risk of injury in everyday life is going to be lower. Plus, it's going to help strengthen your core as well. So, if I'm honest, it is a bit of a preference thing. And the key variables here, to cut a very long story short, are number one, is that you're progressing over time. So you progress over time, whether that's the weight you lift over time gets heavier, the reps you do go more, obviously within reason. I wouldn't just do 100 reps every day. You might want to increase the weight after a while of doing that. That can be very repetitive otherwise. And you'll get benefits from increasing a bit rather than doing 100 reps every time. With that, number three, so you're progressing over time, whether that's reps that you do, number of times you do it, or the weight that you do it. or the number of times you do it. So you might start training once a week, then you might do 2 times a week, then you might do 3 times a week. This is all improving your lifts on that. And finally, make sure your form's on point, make sure your muscle-mind connection's there. It's safe, effective. At the same time, you're allowing yourself to push yourself a little bit, because if it's all super controlled all the time, that can also limit progress sometimes. Obviously, it's a fine balance here. But if you look at the research in terms of taking muscle closer to failure, don't be afraid of doing a few half reps sometimes. So for example, if you're trying to push it a little bit more, you take a deep breath in, go again. If you can't get your shoulders all the way up, it's okay sometimes to push it that little bit more. That's how you progress, but you need to earn the right to get there, is what I'm saying. If you're just starting out, at the beginning, you want to just get the muscle-mind connection there, get the form right, get the technique right first, and then you can progress onto that. But like I said, with all of this, lifting weights is more complex than getting your steps in, and that's why all of our sessions are at FruciFit. Our small group, we can see how you lift, make sure your form's on point, technique's on point. If anything is unsafe, we can let you know on that, and that's the key thing really. You need to build that foundation first, worry about everything else after. Just get started. That's the key thing. Get started, get practicing, get the benefits of that with our bone density, everyday life. Like I said, lifting things up from the floor, easier. Getting up and down from the stairs, easier. Getting up and down from the floor, easier. So, any questions, let me know on that. Have an awesome day, and